Fulfillment comes on a variety of platters. It's kind of like a buffet. Everyone has different taste buds, and I often say that the portrait of success takes on a different arc of a meaning for all of us. And the only set of expectations you have to routinely meet are your own. For Joe Hawley, he spent the better part of 8 seasons along the offensive line for the Atlanta Falcons and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Following his playing days, he wanted to get in touch with his inner self and find his sense of expression and freedom. So, he sold everything he had or gave it away to charity. He bought a van, adopted a dog, and hit the road. And the cool thing is, he documented the whole journey on his blog. After his 2-year soul-searching mission was over, he still felt that something was missing, a sense of community. So, he started the Heart Collective, a community of retired athletes who are committed to supporting each other through their transition away from sports and into the next chapters of their respective lives. Hawley joined me this week to talk about his life in football, his life after his playing career, and the sense of fulfillment and gratitude that he gets by leading a group of inspired men in the Heart Collective. He also talks about the legacy he hopes to leave for his young family. I'm Kevin McShann. Let's have this conversation. Joe, if you're ready, I'll welcome you to the program, and I'm excited to learn all about your football career, your transition to football, and what keeps you busy these days. So great to see you, and thanks so much for being here this afternoon.
Yeah, let's do it.
So, Joe, I know that you spent part of 8 seasons in the NFL, both with Tampa Bay and Atlanta, and I'm wondering, what did you learn most about yourself while you were playing football at the professional level?
Oh man, where do I start? It's taught me a lot of lessons. I had a really up and down NFL career. I think it starts when I first got into the NFL. I got drafted in the 4th round in 2010 by the Atlanta Falcons. One of the big lessons of first making it to the pros was, my college team, my high school team. I was always one of the best athletes on the field, always. And then getting drafted in the NFL draft was one of the best moments of my life. Childhood dream come true. And then I showed up to the Falcons facility just a few months later and realized, wow, there is a lot of good athletes out here, all the best athletes in the world, really. And it was a big culture shock, having to prove myself, and that taught me a lot about showing up and continuing to just show up and try and improve, and not being the best in the field, and how the ego kind of takes that. It's very kind of it's very confronting at times. And so having to kind of show up, work every day, handle failure in a bigger way, because I'm playing against the best in practice, where I'd play against NFL talent maybe a couple of times a year in college. I was doing it every day in practice. And then having to work my way to become a starter, and then losing my starting job 5 separate times throughout my entire career was really challenging, but it taught me a lot about how to handle failure, how to handle adversity, really, and the challenges that life throws at you. And I think one of the biggest lessons I got was my 3rd season I was about to be released by the Falcons, and it was a huge wake-up call. I was waiting for somebody to give me an opportunity rather than going and taking it for myself and doing everything I could do to make my dream a reality of becoming an NFL starter. And it led me down this path of almost getting released and almost ending up on the street without a job. And in that moment when it happened, everything changed. And that was when I first really started taking responsibility for myself and showing up to do what I had to do to make my dream a reality. And that turning point ended up playing another 5 years, becoming a starter, and really, finished out my career strong. But yeah, there's a lot of lessons, man. Football has provided a plethora of them.
I'm sure it did, and I understand after you finished playing, you went on a 2-year adventure and brought yourself an RB and sort of went on the adventure. So can you tell me about that?
Yeah, so towards the end of my career, I knew it was coming to an end. My body was breaking down. I was really, honestly, tired of having to prove myself over and over again. Like I talked about, I lost my starting job 5 times. In my final year, I lost it for the 5th time. And my body was broken down. I just realized it was time for me to move on. There was something deeper in my soul that was calling me for whatever was coming next. And then, when I finally played my last game and I was sitting on the couch a few weeks later, wondering what I was going to do next, it kind of all hit me at once that I would never be playing football again. And that came with a little bit of grief, a little sense of loss, definitely loss of identity, loss of purpose. And I felt like I didn't really know who I was without the game I'd spent my entire life pursuing greatness at. And so, I went through a big breakup at the time as well, which was part of this huge transition. So I basically left my whole old way of being, my whole old life behind, and I needed to figure out who I was without all of it. So I ended up giving all of my stuff that I owned to charity. I downsized, became what people like to call a minimalist, and I bought a van, rescued a dog, named her Freedom. She's sitting right next to me right now. She's a beautiful boxer mix, about 45-pound brown, beautiful pup. Rescued her from the shelter, and we hit the road together for the better part of 2 years. And the reason I hit that road initially was to experience my freedom from the game for the first time. And there's a little bit of the soul searching, discovering who I was on a deeper level. And on the road, I learned so much about myself. I met a ton of like-minded people, and it really changed my life in a lot of profound ways. And I'm really grateful that, I decided to take that trip, because I feel like a lot of people, especially guys that are leaving professional athletics, they don't know what to do next, but they kind of stay where they're at. And it's like this stagnant energy. And for me, I think the big thing was for me to get moving. And for me, movement meant getting on the road, traveling, and going, seeing people I love, and visiting places I've always wanted to see. And it really opened my eyes, and it allowed me to move on from the game in a better way.
And after your 2-year journey was over, you realized that you were sort of missing the sense of community. So you started the Heart Collective. So I'm wondering if you could tell me about that and the lessons you've learned since starting the initiative.
Yeah. So, I guess it starts back when I was playing. I always wanted to be a coach my entire football career because I love football so much, but I played so long in the NFL. I was coming up on 6, 7 years, and I was like, oh, I'm kind of footballed out. And so the idea of entrepreneurship and starting a business really sparked my interest, and it really became an exciting thing. So I started diving into a bunch of business books, and I knew that the idea of creating something out of nothing and providing bigger value and impact in the world really excited me. And so I started reading a lot of business books, learning about entrepreneurship, and I knew that whatever I was going to get into next, whatever I was going to start, I'm such a high achiever, I was going to put all my energy into it. And that's part of the reason I ended up traveling the country, because I was like, I want to really explore my freedom for the first time before I dive into whatever's next really quick. I want to go kind of just do nothing for a little bit and just go explore. And after about a year and a half into that trip, I started asking myself, okay, what am I supposed to be doing now? I have a little bit of a platform. I felt really good inspiring others to live an alternative lifestyle. I started a blog while I was on the road called Man Van Dog Blog, and I was able to share my journey. And so the idea of having an impact and being of service in a bigger way was really inspiring me. I just didn't know really where to put that energy. So I got involved in a couple different entrepreneurial journeys. I started a nut butter company that flopped pretty big time, but there were some invaluable lessons in that experience. And then I, invested in a couple other startups, some with friends, some with other business guys, and just learning a ton about entrepreneurship and business. And so I started thinking, okay, how can I show up? What's my purpose? What do I need to create? And going through the transition out of sports really made me realize the challenges, the unique challenges that come with that journey. And I joined a couple different communities over the last 2 years that had huge impact on my life. Being surrounded by like-minded people who are focused on reaching their highest potential and focused on self-development, it really inspired me and got me to where I'm at in life. And I realized, wow, there's nothing really like this. There's no really real community of brotherhood for former male professional athletes to help them in the transition process. So I think there's this real hole in the market. Excuse me. And so I decided, you know what, any good entrepreneur, if they see a hole in the market, they see a need, and it's definitely close to my heart, they go create it. And so that's where the idea for the Heart Collective kind of spawned. And that was about over 12 months ago. And we just launched 2 months ago, and focused on growing the membership right now. And it's just an exclusive community built to help bring former athletes together and support each other, because we are all warriors at heart, and we have warrior spirits, and it takes a lot of energy to reach the pinnacle of professional sports. And I think it's really sad that when we're done playing, it's kind of no one really knows where to put that energy. And we usually spend our entire lives putting that energy into a team environment, working together to reach our highest potential, to reach our goals, to reach success on the field. And when it's over, nobody tells you that all of that is kind of taken away. So really the vision is to provide a container where guys can come together and support one another in this journey of reaching their highest potential, reaching their goals, reaching their visions for the future, and in turn making the world a better place.
And tell me, what's the biggest lesson you've learned or been inspired by leading this group of men through the Heart Collective?
Yeah, I think it's the power of presence. I think the guys that joined early, the founding members, I'm just so grateful for them, taking a leap and, on me. And really, it's not really about me. It's about me creating the container so we can all support each other. And we do weekly drop-in calls where we kind of all connect and share our experience of life and where we're at, and if we can support each other in any different way. And it's just been really beautiful to see the power that a group of men providing and being present with one another, the power that has. I think at the very core level, all of us really just want to be seen and heard. And I think in our world, in our society, in our culture nowadays, there's so many distractions, and it's hard to really have a real conversation with somebody that's really present, especially a group of men, that are former athletes. We feel like we're the leaders of our families, of our communities. We need to always have it together. We need to be strong. We need to be powerful. And so creating a container where we can just show up and be ourselves on an equal playing field has been really powerful for me. And I know it's really powerful for the founding members of the community. And I'm really excited about continuing to grow that so that we can bring the right kind of guys that are focused on making the world a better place and doing it together as a team.
And tell me, if any former athletes are watching this, how can they get involved in the Heart Collectives?
Yeah, so the best way is to check out our website at theheartcollective.com. It's spelled HART, theheartcollective.com. There's a bunch of information on there. We're working on a promo video right now that's going to kind of share a little bit more about the vision of the community, and there's an application process on there as well. And you can find my contact information as well to reach out to me directly if you want to learn more.
And tell me, what is the biggest part of your legacy that you're hoping to leave once your time on Earth is over?
Wow, that's a big question, man. I hope, it's funny that you asked that too. I have a baby boy on the way. And so that's really,
Congrats.
thanks, man. Yeah, he's due in March. So that really has made me think a lot about this question of what do I want my legacy to be? And, I think I was reading somewhere today, I forget where it was, but even the things that we do and create in the world are all going to be forgotten at some point. But the real way to leave a legacy is to leave it in the blood that you leave behind, as in your offspring. And so I'm really stoked about having a baby boy and providing him and kind of filling him with the experiences I've gone through and trying to guide him the best way I can to become a man, a light, a role model in this world. And I think for me personally, really comes back to love and presence. And I think I'd like to be remembered as somebody that was really deeply loving, who had a big heart, and who provided presence. Because I truly believe that the only thing that really heals is the power of presence. And if you're present with somebody, that really can do wonders on their soul. And so, just continuing to work towards bringing more love into the world.
Joe, I'm also curious to ask you, for anyone wanting this, a male, a first-time father, or anyone wanting that wants to maximize their fullest potential, what would be your message to them on the best way to do that?
Yeah, I think there's a lot that you can do. Um, I think we get lost a lot of times in the stories that our minds create. We get lost in the future, we get lost in the past. And I think the number one thing you can really do is learn to train the mind. And there's a lot of different ways to do that. But once you train the mind, you can become more present in the moment that is unfolding right in front of us. A lot of times we get lost in the future, or we think too much about the past and where we're going. And rarely do you find people that are truly present in the moment as it unfolds. And I believe in order to reach your highest potential, we all have some purpose that we're here on this earth to do. And a lot of times society and the stories of our culture tell us what success looks like, or what we should be doing, or what happiness looks like, or what we need to do to find happiness and fulfillment. And it's usually outside of ourselves. And I believe by finding presence and stillness, we can drop into our hearts and understand what our soul is here to do. And when we can find stillness and enough quiet and space to listen to what the universe wants to experience through us, then that's really how you work towards reaching your fullest potential. And your fullest potential is your fullest potential and what you're here to do. And we're all creators, and we're all a part of creation. And so I think it's really coming down to, like, what are you here to create? What are you here to be? And in order to do that, you have to really find place and quiet to get and drop into yourself.
And just before this started, you had mentioned to me that you're in the process of starting some a new business venture. So can you tell me about those?
Yeah, I mean, so I'm doing the Heart Collective. That's the big thing I'm focusing on right now, building a team out for that, which is really exciting on my entrepreneurial journey. I think I hired my first real employee a few weeks ago, my operations manager. So that journey has been really amazing. It's led to a lot of growth, and it's taking a lot of my energy and time, but it's challenging, and it's like continuing to try and evolve and grow the business and figure out different problems that come up. I'm really loving that experience. I've started 2 podcasts of my own. One is Quantum Coffee with Joe Hawley. That is, I bring on guests to discuss the unanswerable questions of the universe, a little bit about spirituality, belief systems, God, and that's just a really fun conversational piece. And then also Life Beyond the Game, which is geared more towards the Heart Collective community. I bring on former male professional athletes to discuss their journey through the transition out of professional sports, a little bit of like the backstory, behind the scenes stuff, not really what you see on TV, but the real story of who these guys are on a deeper level. The intention behind that podcast is to really normalize the experience of transition. So I think it's a really isolating experience, and a lot of guys struggle through it, but they don't need to, because there is support out there, like the Heart Collective. And it's really a vulnerable time, because you have to reshape your identity and who you are. So I think that podcast is going to provide a lot of value. And also working on writing a book as well. That's proved to be a daunting task, but I'm tackling it, and that's also leading to a lot of growth. And I know you're a journalist, so you understand writing is you got to show up and put words to paper. Can't edit a blank page.
Well, they don't generate themselves, that's for sure.
Yeah,
And you're also preparing to be a new dad too, so you must be really busy.
yeah. It's yeah. So I think we got another 3 months till the baby comes in, and Yeah, I got so much going on. It's like, I think a little overwhelming to think how I'm going to handle bringing a child into kind of the schedule, like day-to-day schedule. But I know that, my beautiful wife, Sarah, and I will figure it out. She's an entrepreneur too, and she's doing some big things in the world. So I'm really excited to kind of navigate it and see the growth that it leads to and the challenges that it provides.
It'll bring balance to your life, I promise.
Yeah. Do you have children?
No, I don't, but I have enough young people in my life that it'll teach you to be more present, I guess. So,
Yeah, that's what I've heard. Yeah, I'm really excited about that part.
so, hey, Joe, my final question for you is: when you're not working, what's your definition of fun, buddy?
Oh man, I love traveling and connecting with other people. I really, I talked about on the show earlier my journey across the country in my van. I still have the van, and me and my wife take it out on occasion and getting out in nature, going on hikes, and just being really as present as possible. It's funny trying to find balance as an entrepreneur and coming from the road, and it's like I'm kind of went two extremes. I was playing football and I wanted to get away from it because it was so structured and so much work, and then I went in the van and I just traveled freely, and then getting back into business and creating something is really a lot of work. And so trying to find balance between the doing, the creating, and the kind of stress and anxiety that comes with that, and then the balance of like being free and flowing and back in nature. And I think that's really the journey of life, right? Is trying to find balance between it all.
Absolutely. Hey, Joe, I want to thank you for making time in your business schedule to sit down and talk to me about life, football, and the transition away from it. Really enjoyed our discussion, and I want to thank you for being here this afternoon. It's
Yeah,
most
Kevin.
appreciated.
Thanks, brother. I really appreciate the opportunity, man. Really well done. And if there's anything I can ever do to support you, man, just let me know.
Fantastic. Hey, Joe, we're done.